All right, still with me, Federal Executive Clemency Attorney Tammy Allison and Criminal Defense Attorney David Bruno. David, I'll start with you. First and foremost, the request by the defense to appear in plain clothes. We see this often. What do you think the strategy is there? What are defense attorneys trying to accomplish by making sure they're able to appear in regular clothes?
I agree with the application. I agree with the decision, especially in a case like this with so much publicity. That third point about cameras being in the courtroom, look, there's been a lot of media coverage on this. The facts are crazy, insane, just in the lead up to this, just hearing that again. And every time they're in court, there's going to be cameras, there's going to be pictures. So it's an effort to not taint the jury so that the jurors, prospective jurors, can't continue to see her in garb.
Tammy, part of the complaint by the defense regarding that cameras in the courtroom issue was that they focused too much on her, and that was concerning to them. How do you feel about that issue?
Michael, I think that the public has a right to see what's happening here. And regardless of them focusing on her, I think people are drawn and they're curious about this case, and it probably is going to be important and impactful to keep cameras in the courtroom, regardless if they're focusing on her or not. I don't necessarily think that's a strong enough argument, especially given the fact that we already had a change of venue here. So any arguments regarding, cameras allowed in the courtroom, whether it's focused on her or not, I feel like it may have already been addressed through that change of venue.
Yeah, and we've had this issue before, and we've accommodated it. There's ways to accommodate it, so hopefully the judge will take that into account. As far as the camera focusing on her and her sort of being made to look a certain way, Larry Woodcock, he's JJ's grandfather. He's one of the two kids who are dead in this case they're accused of killing. He had his take on that issue, and it was an interesting statement by him. Let's take a listen.
The issue is not the cameras or it's not the audio. To me, the issue was Lori playing to the cameras. Just because the defense team and the prosecution didn't pay attention to the cameras and Lori did, it was Lori who was playing to the camera. Oh, I got my ring on. Oh, let me go outside and let me pose for the cameras. The judge has discretion, and I hope he uses it, and I hope he's wise in his decision. I think we as a public have the right to be involved in that court every day. And you, as the media, should be there every day. And I don't see how it's going to affect the jury. When you have a defendant who is out there playing to the public. And that's my point.
So it sounds like you're saying cameras should remain?
Absolutely, cameras should remain.
All right, he's hired. David Bruno, we should send him in there to argue for us. I mean, he had all the points. And I want to ask you, I think he's right. The fact that she was playing to the cameras, and we all talked about it, and I think that's kind of what caught the ear or the eye of the defense. We're talking about all the playing to the camera that she was doing. Isn't that her attorney's job to let her know that those are things she shouldn't be doing?
Sure, it's the attorney's job to caution her. Look, it's not just the cameras. I mean, often we look at this in the media, and there's really two things going on. There's public relations and what generally the population believes, and then it's going to be the 12 jurors in the jury box. And those jurors are going to have access to her face, her facial features, her demeanor, everything. Really, the jury's looking at the defendant, the witnesses, determining credibility. And often you sit at that counsel table, you better be aware that they're looking at you for those particular reasons. I think the cameras need to be there. Look, there's a very detailed certification by a media company at issue here that says they follow all the guidelines, that there are multiple microphones in the courtroom, and only the microphone that's capturing audio is being recorded. The defendant's communications with the attorneys are not being recorded. As long as all that's true, and I believe it is, there should be no reason to prohibit cameras in this courtroom.
Yeah, I hope the judge heard you. And again, he's taken it under advisement. He said he'll get back to the court and with his decision. He's going to go back to the record of the original arguments just to kind of, get a handle on the issue. So we'll have to see how that goes. All right, guys, stand by. It is time for us to take a break. But I do want to let folks